Hey guys, I'm Fancy, and this is the Good Vibes Network. And it's so weird to be saying that. Okay, so yes, I'm in the hospital, and yeah, I'm live streaming from the hospital. So I hope it's working. If it's not working, that's okay. Oh, it does look to be working. So that is fantastic. All right. So since it seems to be working, super excited. Um, I'm not going to worry about it. If it messes up, if anything happens that's crazy, you know what, guys, then I can take care of it in post because I'm recording it. So if I'm messing up or anything happens, I'm very sorry. Hopefully, I won't have to worry about any of that and we can just talk. So, let me get comfortable here. And I'm going to do my makeup because I'm actually getting ready to record our very first episode of the Good Wives Guide to True Crime for our brand new streaming network. Where the heck is my foundation? Oh, don't tell me I didn't put the foundation up here. I didn't. Oh, I also probably need my headphones because, you guys probably can't even hear what I'm saying yet. Oh, no, there's the foundation. I'm good. See, I'm a little scatterbrained. Sorry. But what was that noise? Hold on. Let me see if I have a noise here and why I have a noise. I don't know. Okay. We're just going to go with it. If there's noises, there's noises. That is fine. All right. It seems to all be working. And I'm not going to respond to the chat right now, but you guys are more than welcome to put things in there and I will answer them at a later date. But yes, I am getting ready for our very first Good Wives Network recording. Let me move this back just a tiny bit so I can see myself in the mirror and I can see you guys out in Wonderland. So, all right, guys. Let me see. I just need first. I'm going to do some under eye stuff, and some of this is from our lipstick, lashes, and lies line, and some of it's not. So I'm not going to really show you everything because I'm just kind of trying to get ready for our first episode of season 3 of the Good Wives Guide to True Crime. And we've got a lot to talk about because it's been a really long 7 years, and it's even been longer than that. To be honest with you, it's been longer than that because I've wanted this since I was 6 years old. I never wanted anything else. I've known for my entire life that what I wanted to do was be in the entertainment industry. And all I wanted to do was make meaningful stories. Have known my whole life that that's what I wanted to do. From starting writing a soap opera, because that's what my mom and my best friend's mom and all of them watched at the time was these soap operas. And so by the same thing, we watched them too. And so at I don't know, 15, 16, 13, I don't freaking know how old I was. It's whenever I met Heather and we started writing together. And that was a long ass time ago. But we we wrote our own screenplays. We wrote our own soap, and you know what? For kids standards, for writers that knew nothing about anything, I think they were actually pretty good. But anyway, so tonight though, I want to actually talk about this last 7 years, and I can honestly say that the last 2 years of this have been probably the hardest years of my life. And at other points in time, I thought there were other hard points in my life, and um, while dealing with kind of trying to get this whole thing going that I've been wanting to do forever. But I can honestly tell you these last 2 years rocked my world. And they rocked my world in a lot of different ways. And so I wanted to kind of come on here and talk about these things before I before we actually dive into our content on trying to see here. Our content on the GWN, which is what we're calling it. It's the Good Wives Network. And it's really just a play. It doesn't have to just be for wives. Programming for women by women. We have a couple of select guys with us, and we love them, and they're wonderful. So thank you, Cecil and Jeff and um, Wyatt. I appreciate everything that you guys are doing and bringing to the channel. And I appreciate that you listen to me when I say, hey, maybe that doesn't really hit for women, but the idea here is to bring content for today's diverse woman. And it's kind of something I've been working on for a while of something more. I've been searching for something more my whole life. And you know what? I might have hairs on my chin and I might be sitting in a hospital bed, but it's not going to stop me from what I'm trying to do and what I feel like my friends here at the GWN are trying to do. And so hate on me all you want. You can hate on me and say that I don't pluck my chin or my face looks funny or I'm fat and I have a double chin or you can say that um you don't think that I've done the right things. And you know what? I've not always done the right things, and that's okay because everybody makes mistakes. It's what you do with the mistakes. It's what you do when you get up from the mistakes that matters. And I really think that what we're doing here today is so much more than what we thought we were going to do 7 years ago. And it's definitely more than what that little 6 year old girl thought she was going to do when she told her mama that she wanted to be on TV. Because, you know what, guys? The world has changed and so much is different. And some of it's good and some of it's bad. And I'm just kind of shocked at the world right now. And I'm not real happy to be a human. I'm going to be honest. Being a human right now is hard, but even harder than that. And this is what I've been talking about for the last, I don't know, since November, really, is being a woman in today's day and age is probably one of the toughest things there is. And it's probably one of the toughest times to be a woman. I mean, yes, I get it. There are times where we were oppressed, there were times where bad things happened, all those things. But I have never seen something so widely spread of just kind of like, I don't know, a regression, you could call it a regression. That's what I'm going to call it for America's women. And I'm not meaning any specific type of woman. I'm not talking about any type of woman. I'm not discounting anyone that identifies as a woman. In fact, that's not what this channel is about. This channel is about bringing together all women for a bigger deal, a bigger purpose, something more. Because I think we can all agree that something more is what pretty much all of us, all of us are looking for in our lives. And you know what? Something more is hard. Something more is not easy. Something more is not for the weak of heart. Not right now, guys. That's Tori. I will call you back, Tor. Okay, so something more is not for the faint of heart. Something more is for the warriors, the strong ones, the survivors, the ones who just won't lay down and take the answer no. And I think my whole life that's been kind of me. I have been kicked and prodded and poked and put down and discounted. And I have been the one that's the black sheep. And you know what? No more. Oh my God. Can you all leave me alone? Hold on. Yes, ma'am. I'm on live. I'm on live. So what could I do for you? Okay, well, Tori just tried to call too, so I was just making sure that you guys weren't like, trying to warn me about something. Okay, love you. Are you gonna come see me? Great. No, no, damn it. No, hold on. Are you coming to see me? Okay, sorry guys. Sorry. So, okay. Um, where was I? I'm sorry. I have the worst case of brain fog in the world right now. It's kind of one of the reasons why I'm in this hospital. I have been dealing with long term COVID problems for over a year and a half now. It freaking sucks. And I'm over it. And I basically told the doctors this week if they they had to find an answer. I don't even care if they find a reason. I simply want an answer of why the things that are happening to me are happening to me. And we'll get into that a little later. I'm just kind of going through things right now in my mind. And I'm sorry if I take us all over the place. I promise you that at the end there's something here, okay? And I promise you I'm trying to do the best, but I'm going through a lot right now. So I'm in the hospital because I have long-term COVID effects, which basically I don't know. I'm trying to figure out because the doctors don't seem to be figuring it out. And that seems to be an epidemic that's going on right now in our country. And I don't know if it's going on in the other countries, but if you're out there listening from other countries and it's going on in your country where doctors just don't seem to know anything anymore, hell, I don't even get to see doctors most of the time. Most of the time, it is nurse practitioners now. And I'm not quite sure what that means or why that happened. And I am not downing nurse practitioners by any means, because one of my very dear friends and one of my co-hosts is a wonderful nurse practitioner, and that's Colleen McShane. And I think that she's wonderful and she's very knowledgeable, and I love her to death. But where are the doctors gone? Where are they? Because I'm telling you, they're not available all the time anymore. Okay, let's try this a little quick. Okay, here I go. What is that? How do I already have something underneath my chin? Oh, no, no. I'm so bad at makeup, guys. I really am. That's why I don't do lipstick, lashes, and eyes, because I'm not great at makeup. Great. Lovely. There's shit on my chin. Mm. Does that look good? I think it looks good. Hopefully it looks good. I might need to put a little bit of something over the top of that, though. Alrighty. That's presentable enough for that. Just going to throw on some mascara. I don't even think I'm going to do my eyes because I'm in the hospital. But anyway, I'm in the hospital because what we think we have discovered, and this is just a thinking, this is something I'm hoping to find out more about tomorrow. I have a bunch of tests. That's why I'm here still. They're keeping me for a couple more days. I came in, I don't know, Friday. I think I came in Friday. And this has been going on about once a month for the last year and a half. I usually end up in an emergency room with uncontrollable vomiting and nausea and other things that go along with that I don't want to talk about. But no reasoning whatsoever. There's no reason why it happens. We don't understand it. It just happens, and it happens rapidly. I can be sitting talking like this, and the very next thing that I know, I am completely dehydrated and I am vomiting. And I have no idea why this happens to me, except that we think that my dear friend Amanda and my lovely daughter Emily have come up with a reason. And that reason is, okay, I'm all done with makeup, so I can actually look up at the camera now instead of down. So let me put this stuff away. Boop, 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 boop. Make that happen. All right, I'm going to get comfortable. Actually, I'm going to put the bed back just a little bit. There we go. All righty. So let's come in just a little bit. See, I can do editing and make cool shots, right? Ha ha ha. No. Let me see here. There we go. All right. So basically, where to begin? So they think that I have something called auto brewery syndrome. Brewery, Brewery, like a brewery that makes beer. And guys, basically what that means is that my body thinks it's making alcohol. Well, actually, it's not thinking it's making alcohol. It's actually making alcohol. We caught this, and I mean, I could be totally wrong. I'm not a doctor, but and neither is Emily or Amanda. But I kind of just feel like that we are on the right track. I really feel that this I've tried. We've looked at everything else that we could possibly look at, and we've kind of landed on this. So yeah, I'm in the hospital. I've got an IV in. They are pumping fluids into me because that seems to be the only way to keep me from dehydrating rapidly within minutes. And basically, what happens is my body, if this is what I have, it takes carbs and sugars and decides that they shouldn't be carbs and sugars. And instead of breaking them down and letting them exit my body like a normal body, no, 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 no. My body decides, hey, let's make alcohol inside of her. That'll be fun. So I don't know if the yeast comes first or the alcohol comes first. It's kind of like does the chicken or the egg come first? I don't know, and I don't really care. But basically, what happens is my body gives me alcohol poisoning. And if I were to actually take a breathalyzer while doing this, I could blow dirty. So I have to get my own breathalyzer and I take a breathalyzer test in the morning and night to watch and find out what exactly is happening to me. And then I have to track to make sure that I am not overly eating anything too much. I can have everything in moderation. And I guess that's kind of what my mama was telling me a long time ago, everything in moderation. My husband says it too. So I guess somehow I need to do all of it in moderation. It's not just about my weight. I didn't make a resolution this year to get lose weight. I made a resolution this year to get healthy. And that's not just my body. That's my mind and my soul. And I'm going to talk about some of those things tonight. Oh my god, can everyone leave me alone? No. No, no, no. Sorry guys. I can't like turn it off because if it's really important, they have to get a hold of me, but yeah. So, anyway, so yeah, that's real fun. Auto brewery syndrome. It's interesting. Um, and of course, if there was ever a person to have some rare weird thing, it would totally be me. And I called my daughter Sarah up the other day to tell her that this is what we thought we had found, that this is what I had. And she started laughing and she says, I know what this is. I've heard of it on TikTok. And I was like, oh, great, TikTok. Fabulous. So TikTok is now diagnosing me. Wonderful. But it's more than the doctors were doing. So what is going on? Is it freaking out or something? I can't figure out what it's doing. Oh, it's because I have it on chat. Okay, that's fine. I don't see anybody popping into chat right now, so I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And all right. Anyway, and I don't have much more time to talk with you between 9:30 and 10 o'clock tonight. That's why I've actually got makeup on and like my clothes on, sort of. Not all of my clothes, but my clothes on. Um, because tonight we're recording our first episode of The Good Wives Guide to True Crime, season 3. Um, and it's bittersweet for us, guys, because I don't know if it's been 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It's definitely been more than two, but we lost our Christina. Christina passed away recently, suddenly. Um, she was having long-term COVID problems, despite having all the boosters except for the very last one. And she was having breathing problems. She'd been talking to us about it for a long time and battling it for a while. Unbelievable. Hang on, guys. Hello. Hey, I'm live. Do you need something right now? It's okay. Do you need something? Is it important or can I call you back in just a few minutes? Okay, bye. Sorry, guys. Running a company is really hard. I honestly say that this thing, if I was ever, here we are again, if I was ever a person, if there was ever a person to actually get, like, whatever they say you're going to get from holding your phone to your head, it would probably be me. So, knock on wood that I don't get something like that because, good Lord, I don't want to put that out into the universe. But and I'm sorry if I'm rambling. Like I said, I'm going to be all over the place tonight, but eventually you'll get to hear a lot of our story as we go through as I go through this process with you guys. And I'm here because Amy Linden literally told me, my mentor and an amazing acting coach. So if you need an acting coach, you should definitely look up Amy Linden. And told me that, you know what, Fancy? She gave me good advice once before, folks, and I feel like she gave me good advice now. And her answer was, you should be taping everything because it's all going to be important. And I think it really is. So, no, I'm not taping my whole entire life. I don't want to become the next Kardashian family. Ugh. But I am, I'm going to tape a lot of things. And what I'm working on is so different than where I started several years ago. And I'm going to try to get through that journey if more people don't call me because everyone is calling me. Um, anyway, hold on. I need to breathe. I need to figure out where I was. Sorry, guys. I am not the same person I was a couple years ago. A lot of things have happened and my own COVID journey, but I was talking about Christina. This is really hard to talk about because it came out of nowhere. Christina, she went to bed. Colleen and I talked to her. I don't know. I don't know if I talked to her that night right before she went to bed or if we talked to her earlier in the night when she said she was going to go to bed. I'm not really sure, but she went to bed, and at some point they think she got up to either get an inhaler. I don't know if she had a nebulizer. I'm not quite sure, but she fell, and I don't know if that was from what it was from. I have my theories. We're waiting on the final autopsy report, but Christina went to bed, got up, tried to get something. They think she was either getting, her. Um, sorry, this is really hard to talk about. They think that she was ever either getting her um, inhalers, or I don't know, maybe she was getting some water. But Christina passed away in the middle of the night, and we don't really know all the details yet. We do know that her lung was hyperinflated. They did say that because of she had asthma forever, and they said that it looked like the asthma had just been in there, just tearing the hell out of her lungs. And but she had started a new medication, and I just spoke with her brother James right before we left for the memorial, and he informed me that that new medication through a telehealth, which I am not fond of telehealth. To be honest with you, I think that this is a downfall of our medical system. I already think our medical system is pretty messed up as it is. And I don't think that telehealth and all of this new technology is helping. I don't know how somebody can diagnose you when they don't see you. But anyway, she had a telehealth appointment, a new doctor that wasn't her normal doctor. And I think that's another problem that we're having right now. You can never see your doctors, your real doctors. You get to see other people all the time, and it's just unbelievable. But let me take a drink of water here because I'm getting dehydrated or dry or whatever. Um, but they prescribed her a new medication, which she said was working, and she felt was feeling like she was going to be better. We were going to record the next night, and that medication had a warning that was don't take it if you have a penicillin allergy. And Christina had a known penicillin allergy. So I really feel like my friend is gone because people didn't do their jobs. And it's really upsetting. It's made me really angry. But I have to believe that Christina's passing is not in vain. I can feel her here with me. I feel that maybe she's supposed to be there because there's something more that we're all supposed to be doing, and she is guiding us. So everything we do this next year, at least this next year, will be dedicated to Christina's memory, our dear friend and our forever partner. And I think it's been a lot harder on Colleen than it has been on me. Um, she's had a really hard time reconciling this and and moving on. But I have told her that the worst thing we could do is to not keep going, because that would be the one thing that we would do that would dishonor our friend. And Christina had a big heart, probably one of the biggest hearts on any person I've ever met. And she was good, and she was kind, and she cared about everyone. It didn't matter if you were in her life for 5 minutes or 5,000 years, you were family. And I stood up at her memorial a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I don't know. Time is so messed up right now for me. But I stood up at her funeral, not funeral, memorial, and I talked. And at first, I thought about all the people in the room because the room was packed. And I looked around and I thought about how every single one of those people had more time with Christina than any of us did. I never even got to meet her in person, but I was no closer or no further away to her than anyone else, because that's just how Christina was. If Christina was in your corner, she was a loyal, amazing, kind, caring warrior of a person for you. And she always held the right composure, and she would fight fiercely for you, and she would love just as hard. And so I have to believe that I believe that she went to heaven. That's my beliefs. But I don't fault anyone else for their beliefs. If you believe in the universe, the in reincarnation, I don't know. But from what I know and what I feel, that Christina was called home because we all maybe needed her up there more than we needed her down here. And I want to talk a little bit about grief because I've been through this a couple times in my life now. Um, the first loss that I remember was when I was a kid, and a friend of mine's father took her stepmother's life. And so that was a really hard lesson in life, and it really shocked me. I was actually supposed to go over there that weekend, and I didn't because I was grounded as usual. And I guess it's the one time mom made it. My mom grounding me for absolutely no reason most of the time uh, was a good thing. But I don't want to talk about that tonight. I've talked a lot about losing my mom at 29, and I lost my grandmother, I think 6 months to a year later. I don't even remember because it's just, I went into the deepest depression I've ever been in my life. And it's something I want to talk a lot about. And it's something I was very passionate. And that is how this journey kind of began. So 7 years ago, I was working on, and I've told this story a lot the last couple of weeks. And I've got a lot to say about it. So hopefully I can get through this in the next 30 minutes to an hour before Colleen messages me and tells me that she wants to record. But so 7 years ago, is it eight? It could be eight. I don't know. Like I said, time is strange right now. And I was coming back from a 20-year sabbatical from the industry that I wanted to work in. And I still had kids, young kids. They weren't young, but they were youngish. They were still, where they needed mom, but I could leave, but I didn't have the means to. I was pretty much not able to do any of that. We were financially not okay. And you know what? You can say what you will about me. You can say all kinds of things. Do I live in a freaking trailer? Yeah, I live in a trailer right now because you know what? The pandemic ruined us. And my husband and I fought for 10 years to get ourselves out of off of food stamps and off of any type of assistance, and we didn't need anybody or anything. And then this pandemic hit and it ruined us financially and it wrecked our bodies. So it's just the gift that keeps on giving. But anyway, 7 years ago, I set out to do something different, I guess. I decided I was going to go back to the industry no matter what. Because, what if that was the only thing I ever wanted to do? What if my mom was wrong about the fallback job? What if this was the thing? What if it was it? That's it. It was it. And I didn't want to miss it. I didn't want to miss it. So I I basically was working on an audition piece with Amy, and she stopped me in the middle of me talking and doing this audition piece, and she said, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I just stopped, and I like paused, and I gave her a very strange look, and I said, "Excuse me, what do you mean?" And she goes, "I don't know what the hell you think all this is that you are doing, but it certainly isn't acting. It's not any good, and it's not what I expect from you. So what the fuck are you doing?" And I think I started to cry right then, because she was right, and I knew she was right. I didn't want to do any of it. I didn't want to do any of it. I was so upset. I didn't want to play a scream queen's mom or nurse number five. I've always wanted to tell incredible stories in amazing ways through cinema and through TV. Um, I've just always thought it was such an amazing way to tell a story. I love reading books, and I enjoy thinking up all the things about that book in my head. But there's just something about taking those thoughts out of your head and bringing them to life in pictures and sound and music and all of these different things. So I've always wanted to do these amazing stories. And I started talking to her and I said, Amy, I don't want to play nurse number five. And I don't want to be, you know, in these. And I love horror movies, guys. I love horror movies. I love them. But I didn't want to be some random mom in a horror movie. And that was really what was here at the time. And it's changed a lot, but that's what was here at the time. And I couldn't leave. I couldn't go to other states. I just didn't have the way to do that. And so the first bit of advice that Amy ever gave me that was the best thing that I've ever been said was, Fancy, if the kind of content that you want to make isn't out there, go create it. And so my daughter Sarah and I sat down and we wrote our first web series, not mini series, but a web series. And it was called Coping, and it was loosely based on my life. Because they always tell writers, write what you know. So I decided to write what I know. And basically, it was highlighting the time period that I had lost my mom at 29. I was dealing with my entire family's mental health issues. And um, I was in probably the biggest depression I've ever been in my life. And I wasn't doing well. And I wanted to be given open and honest look about overcoming depression and finding the other side, and how I got to that side. So we sat down, and I don't know if it was a weekend or a week, but one of those, it wasn't more than a week. Sarah and I wrote 13 episodes of a web series called Coping. And we set up to cast it, and people came from all over. And that's a whole nother story that I'm going to get into one day because it was incredible. But um, our director, who shall remain nameless, um, decided to take the footage after being called out for something that I'm not going to talk about, and never gave it to us. And it was very unfortunate because not only did he steal my life story, he basically kept all the children that were in that production from getting the work that they had done. And it really upset me, and I took a real hard blow for it. And wasn't right. And I'm really sorry to all the kids and all the moms and dads and everybody who put their heart and soul into that you didn't get anything out of it. But I plan on bringing Coping back and making it on the GWN. And so hopefully, some of you can be a part of that. Um, I can't promise anything, but some of you I hope to have as a part of that still. And then we had some other things happen, and Tori and I took a lot of shit for some of these things that happened. Um, and none of it was really our fault. It was trying to do something in an industry that is largely set up to never let an independent person in. They have their little group of people, and that's the little group of people that get to make things, and they all get to say that they're the little group of people that get to make things, and all these people out in this area don't get to make anything. And I just don't understand why that's the way. Because when you only have this group of people, what are these other people out here? What do they really want? Because are you even thinking about them? Or are you only thinking about your little group of people and what you want to watch and what you want to do? And that's kind of Hollywood. And I think that might have come back to bite Hollywood in the ass lately, because I think people are really tired of the Hollywood people, and I won't even say elites because it's not just the elites, it's everyone that wants to close doors to people like us. That there's a huge moral issue going on in Hollywood. People don't want to watch this anymore. People don't want to accept this anymore. You're not untouchable people. The laws do apply to you. And I just feel like maybe if you had thought about the people out here instead of the people right here, maybe, maybe you wouldn't be in such bad shape right now. I mean, I've been saying this for a couple months now, and I've been saying it since before that, but it really came to light in the pandemic of how much Hollywood could be brought to its knees in a moment, because it took one little virus to basically shut down the whole operation. They weren't allowed to do anything. They weren't allowed to film. They couldn't have anything, nothing going. They had to 100% stop. And in an industry that is largely based on large sums of money that are inflated and self-importantly thought of, um, that didn't go well for them. I mean, things kind of changed up in the industry when our streaming services like Netflix and Hulu and all of them came along, and they created bingeable content, content that you could sit down and watch in 2 nights because you watched all 12 episodes in 2 nights instead of having to wait every single week, week after week for the same for things. And so I think that was the beginning of the changing of Hollywood, and they had no idea that they were even changing. And then the moral things started to happen, and more stories started to come out, and Harvey Weinstein got put in prison, and the Me Too movement was started. And then people that had been largely counted out before were beginning to be listened to, like Corey Feldman and other child stars who said that things happened to them. And I think that there is a terrible, terrible moral epidemic going on right now, more than any other epidemic in the world. I really think that this is a problem and people are largely ignoring it. And I think it's part of my platform right now is what are we doing about the children? And I've thought to myself about how our country has been largely run by men forever. And perhaps it's time to let some moms take over, because I have to say, what I thought about the other night is that when you really boil it down and you take all the politics out of everything and you take all the different things that people, get upset about and worry about, if you just thought about the children and you put it in the hands of a mom, I'm going to tell you the only thing that's important to moms, unless they are literally the worst, most most malicious, evil, awful mother, because even bad mothers can care for their kids and love their kids and want the best for their kids. But if you boil it down to anything else, it's all about protecting your child. You just want a safe world for your kid to grow up in. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. That's all a mother really, really cares about. Is my child going to be safe? Is my child going to be happy? Is my child going to be okay when I'm not here? Because I don't know about you, but I'd like to leave the planet better for my children and my grandchildren and my great grandchildren than it was for me. That's just what I'd like to do. And I don't think, I think we've lost sight of that somewhere along the way. Um, but anyway, back to 7 years ago when I started coping and all the things happened, and then other things happened. And I've always said I kind of fell into true crime because I did. I love true crime. I have always loved true crime. And I can remember the moment that I fell in love with true crime. I can't tell you how old I was because I just don't know. But it was the very first time that my mother let me go to the library by myself. And so that was the first time that mom didn't get to throw out books that she didn't think that I should be reading. And so I snuck over to the more adult section. Yeah, I was a teenager, so I must have been somewhere between 12 and 14, I would say. And I went over to the adult section, and I thought I was going to get caught. Like I thought that there was going to be like a librarian that came up and told me, "You don't belong here," because I did look really young, and I didn't know the adult section didn't mean that it was just for adults. I thought that's what it meant, and so I thought I was doing something ooh so big. And so I went in there, and I only went as far as this little turn thing of paperbacks. And so I was turning it and looking, and Small Sacrifices was in the thing. I don't know what you call it, the turny thing. And I picked it up and I flipped it over and I read the back, and it was talking about a mom who, and this is really fitting for right now because it's kind of interesting that this is what our third season is going to be about, moms who kill. And was talking about a mom who decided she wanted to get rid of her children for some guy. And I just couldn't fathom that. I had a kind of tumultuous relationship with my mother growing up, but I always knew that that wasn't my mom. That was the medicines that they had my mother on. So I never held it against my mom. Um, I can't say that I didn't have bad feelings sometimes, and sometimes I told my mom I hated her, and sometimes I honestly, this is one of the reasons why I fell into true crime and ended up on the Gypsy Rose Blanchard story, is because I could relate. I understood. My mother was extremely overbearing, very protective. Um, it was to the point of obsession. She lived a lot of her life vicariously through me because my mom didn't get to live a lot of her life because she was a juvenile diabetic that was diagnosed at 12 years old. And a lot of things happened and stunted my mom at that point, and she never felt like she was worthy of things because she thought she was damaged because of this disease. And she really thought, I think she thought no one would want to marry her. I think she thought no one would want to have children with her. And I was adopted, and so um I just had some rough things. My life was not an easy life. It's never been easy, but I don't know the word no and I don't know the word quit. So I've just kept going my whole life, and people call me a survivor. But sometimes I think that, I don't know, it's not just surviving, it's instinct. I don't know how to not do the things to keep me surviving and my family surviving. I just do them. But anyway, I related a lot with Gypsy's story when I found it later, in 2016. I think I found it in 2017. We were doing the podcast. God, I can't remember the timeline at this point, guys, which I will have all of that together when we actually do the Gypsy Rose Blanchard, um, America's Sweetheart Murderer episodes, which is a brand new show that will be launching on the GWN. Um, but I remember thinking to myself, because my mother was a diabetic that didn't take very good care of herself, and my father left when I was 6. So from 6 years old on, I've kind of been taking care of people. So that forced me to grow up real fast. And the sad thing is this happened to my daughter when I lost my mom, and I never wanted that life for her, but it is what happened. But it does make you stronger. It really does. And so when my dad left, I was 6, and I became the person that basically kept my mom alive. She would go into comas, she would go into diabetic reactions, and I was the one that called the ambulance. And my mom could be violent, my mom could be absolutely irrational, and it was hard. My life was not easy. Um, my family largely did not help, and dad wasn't around because that's a whole nother bag of stories. But I took care of my mom from 6 years old on. And I lived every day thinking that my mom probably wouldn't wake up the next day. I guess it's like a really bad series of Princess Bride, where he's saying that, um, "Good night, Wesley. Um, you did good today. I'll kill you. I probably kill you in the morning." I don't remember exactly how it goes because I haven't seen Princess Bride in a long time, but it's something along those lines. And I think that that's kind of how I operated. Was I was never sure how much longer I had with my mom, but it didn't really help it be any better. And so, it was hard. And there were times as a teenager that I thought to myself, what if I just don't call 911 tonight? Because maybe my mom wouldn't have to suffer anymore, and I could go on and live my life without all this in it, and this chaos and this anger and this fighting and having to be responsible for things that I shouldn't have had to be responsible for. But I never acted on it. And that's the difference between me and Gypsy. I never decided to act on it. I just left. I left, and I left a couple of times and I had to come back because of different circumstances, but I left. And maybe that's because I knew I could, but I'm pretty sure she knew she could too. And we're going to talk about that in the new series. So I don't want to really get into Gypsy here and now. Um, I can say that a lot of opinions have changed over the years about Gypsy and Nick and Dee Dee. And I think you'll be pretty surprised to hear from several of us. And I think that Christina has brought us all back together because I've talked with Tori and Colleen and Brandy and Amanda, and we're all together on this story needs to be told the right way, the complete story. And somehow, honestly, I never set out to be part of this story, but we all are part of this story. And it's a much larger story than I could have ever imagined. And it's the gift that keeps on giving because now I am wrapped up in a very large story of what I can tell is corruption and just some really gross negligence, whether it's stupidity or corruption. It doesn't even matter in Amanda's life and what has happened to her. And I'm beginning to think that there's a lot going on in Springfield, and a lot of it is connected in a way that I didn't think it was connected at first. But I think it actually is. Let me make sure Colleen hasn't messaged me yet, guys, because I did turn it down. So, and I want to make sure that I don't miss recording with her. Nope, nothing yet. So that's good. But um, so I related to Gypsy. So I kind of let back to the story as I took that book home, the Diane Downs story, Small Sacrifices, and I read it cover to cover underneath my covers with my flashlight, so my mom wouldn't find it. And I think I did it in like 2 days. I read the whole book, and then I found out that there was a movie, and I don't know if the movie came out later or if it was already out, but somehow I ended up seeing that there was a movie by Farrah Fawcett that was Small Sacrifices, and I watched that one too, and I was hooked because I could not, for the life of me, fathom what would make a mother take their child's life. Like I said, I had a relationship with my mom that was volatile, but in the end, my mother was always in my corner. My mother was always there for me. I could tell my mother these things and talk to my mother. And my mother was one of my biggest champions. And I can't imagine a mother harming their child. And so it hit me. And that began my quest for understanding how the brain works. And, I was also trying to understand my own self because I've always been a little different, a little odd, and I just thought it was weird. But recently, my daughters have pointed out that um, they think I might be on the spectrum. And I was kind of resistant to that, but I took a test, and the test that I took, I kind of scored higher than my two daughters that we know are on the spectrum. So I guess that explains a lot, but I don't know, I just didn't really want to think that there was something like that with me. Like, I didn't want to do that. I just kind of thought that I was just weird. I don't know. I just marched to a different beat of a different drum. Like, I just did my own thing, and I just dared to dream when others didn't. And I just knew at some point in time my life was going to be something more. I think I've just always known. And so, if that makes me different, if that somehow puts me on some sort of spectrum that you are arbitrarily deciding makes me different than anyone else, being different from anyone else, then all right, that's fine. That's fine. I just think it's funny that we label people different than other people based on arbitrary things when it's just that they think differently than you. Well, everyone thinks differently than the other person. No one thinks the same. So why we're labeling these things when it is not doing anyone major harm? I understand labeling a sociopath and a psychopath and a narcopath. Okay, I get those labels. But the other labels that are meant for the fact that people just deem you not normal, what the fuck is normal? Like, seriously? Does anybody know? Can you just find normal for me? Because I sure as shit don't know anything about normal. Like, I don't know anyone who's normal. That is the most ridiculous word. Normal. But anyway, that was my beginning of true crime, and I started consuming true crime as a teenager, and I never stopped. In fact, the kids used to make fun of me because during my depression, um, obviously, it's my depression. I Sorry, I lost my train of thought, guys. Just give me a second, I'll get it back. God, I hate this fucking brain fog. And I'm sorry, I'm sharing a lot, so it's hard for me to keep track of where I'm at. Obviously, I wanted to understand my depression, and true crime got me through a lot of my depression because I could sink myself into the stories and think to myself, well, I guess I've got it better than that because I'm still here. And sometimes I wonder if I do have it better than that because I'm still here. Because I'm not so sure that this is the greatest thing in the world. Like, I'm not sure Earth is wonderful. I think it's messy. I think it's chaotic. And I think it's crazy. And it's beautiful. And it's majestic. And it's all kinds of different things. But do I think that it's the best thing? Nah, I'm not even sure that exists anymore. I mean, I believe in a higher power. And I identify that as God because that makes sense to me. But I also believe that other people can believe what they want too. And maybe they've got it right too. Maybe we all have it right. Maybe we all have it wrong. I don't know. I'm not God. I don't claim to be God. I don't claim to be any more than I am. I'm just some younger. I'm not even young. I'm 48 years old. I'm just a person from born in born in Florida, raised in California, and raised my children in Kentucky. I've been a little bit of everywhere because my dad was in the military until my dad left when I was 6. And then I did the military thing myself, so I kind of went a little bit of all over. I was even stationed. My dad was even stationed overseas when I was 2 or 3, and according to my mother, I spoke fluent German. I don't remember it, but I do. But I guess I did. And sometimes I can understand it, but I can't speak it. But I know what they're saying, and I know the bad words, and those are the most important words sometimes. But anyway, um, so that was my beginning, and the kids used to make fun of me. Mom's watching people killing people again. But it got me through a really dark time when I wasn't quite sure that I wanted to continue on in this world. And I tried a couple times to not continue on in this world, and I've never merely thought about whether my attempts at suicide, if you want to call it that, were actually suicide attempts, or if I just wanted the world to stop because it was just a little too much for me. But anyway, I do have a semicolon tattoo, and I never am able to turn my arm so you guys can see it well enough. But it says we're all mad here, and it's a semicolon, and the top hat of the Mad Hatter and the Cheshire Cat makes the bottom of the Mad Hatter of the semicolon. And that's for my love of Disney and fairy tales and things like that. And I'm very disappointed in Disney right now, so don't put me in the category of those people that love Disney still and are ignoring everything because I'm not. But I don't think that where we are right now should reflect where we used to be, because where we are right now is so strange. It's a very odd time. So, you know, I hmm, I really I don't know. It's a strange time, guys, and I think it's just a really hard time to be a human. But I also think it's just a really really hard time to be a woman. But true crime got me through those things, and I tried to start some things with Tori long before we decided to do true crime, and those things didn't quite work out. And then I fell into the Gypsy Rose Blanchard story. I didn't even know really what Facebook groups were. I wasn't big on Face Group. I had created some pages. I might have been a part of some groups, but I didn't really participate in them very often. And I can honestly say I don't even know if I knew how to actually get to groups unless it was one that I had bookmarked somewhere. So I wasn't big into groups and I just didn't really know that they existed. But something popped across my news feed for Mommy Dead and Dearest, and it caught my eye. And I had heard about her story briefly because I was immersed in the world, but I wasn't really working in it or anything. I was just kind of following along and listening to different stories as I could. And so I'd heard of it, but I wasn't quite sure of the details or anything. But the trailer for it caught my eye, and so I watched that, and then I began to see how I could find out information. And I found these Facebook groups when I was typing into, I think it was Google, it could have been something else at that point, about this case, and they were coming up, and I was like, there are Facebook groups about true crime cases? Like, why? I just didn't understand it. Like I thought I was obsessed and I was weird, but I guess it's bigger than than anyone thought. Most of us just think of it as what we watch or what we do. I don't think anybody really thinks about the fact that it's one of the largest genres of media ever. Um, and it's one of the most watched genres of media ever. So, you know, um, I'm hoping I'm still in here. I don't know. Hopefully. Is it still going? I guess it is. Well, that's good. But, like, so I'm thinking about, I am, I saw the video, I went into these groups, and the first thing I noticed was they weren't very nice. There were all these people in there, and mostly women. And I've got to say, while men are more dangerous, women are more cunning and ruthless, I think. Women are ruthless. And we're not very fond of other women. Like, I don't know why that is. I mean, everybody has their little tribe, but on a whole, we dislike each other. And I don't know why. We just do. It's very strange. But I went in this group, one of the largest gypsy groups that was out there, and I began watching people just literally battling it out over a case that had absolutely nothing, no things to do with their lives. And I just thought, God, why are they so angry? So I began researching some more, and I found that the person that was the brunt of a lot of these discussions happened to be Gypsy's stepmother. And I thought, well, that's just the damn weirdest thing. Why would they be mad at the stepmother? What did she do? And so, on a lark, guys, and this happens a lot, I'm going to say on a lark a lot, I basically just typed off a message to her real quick through Messenger. And to be honest with you, I really wasn't hopeful that she would message me back. And I just kind of thought, yeah, she probably gets 100 of these a day. And I didn't even know what I was saying. I just typed off what I felt. And I just kind of told her that I was a small town producer, that was into true crime and caught the, the special, and was intrigued by it, and that I wanted to, maybe I was in these groups and I couldn't understand why they were attacking her, and I wanted to hear her side of why they were attacking her, and I wanted to hear what things, because people were saying awful things about Gypsy. And I mean, it was just back and forth every day, all day long, and it was crazy and it drove me nuts. And I just couldn't understand it. I just, the phenomenon of these women, and some men arguing like this over a case, it blew my mind. So I reached out to her and I said, like I said, I told her I was a small town producer, that I work in scripted content, because I never thought I was going to be a documentarian or a producer of, reality stuff. That was not in my that was not in my wish list. That was not part of my dream. But I guess that God had a bigger plan for me, because he has he has led me here in some way, and I just can't believe that I'm where I am today. Because if you'd asked me 7 years ago if I'd be sitting here today talking about a network that I own, I would have laughed at you. Because honestly, 7 years ago, it wasn't possible. But Um, so I reached out to Christy thinking I'd never hear back. And sometimes I wish I hadn't. But if I hadn't, I wouldn't have met the beautiful people that are in my life today. I wouldn't have known Colleen, and I wouldn't know Amanda, and I certainly wouldn't have known Christina. And I just have to believe that it was all for a reason. That it was all because of a bigger plan for me, for the for the world, for whatever. Because we have lots of big plans, guys, and I'm talking huge, epic, phenomenal plans. And I told my daughter today I want to change the world. Like I want to change laws, and I want to change the way we do things, and I want I want to do so many things. And whether I accomplish them in my lifetime or not is very dependatory upon how my life ends up going. I might be here for a split second, or I might be here for 100 years. I don't know. And losing Christina really taught me that, because I think losing my mom was different because I'd been preparing for it my whole life. Losing Christina was so hard because it was sudden. And knowing that it could have just been the fact that somebody didn't do their job, it really made me really think about life and how precious it is. And in this time period, I've become a grandmother, and I think grandmother becoming a grandmother changes things because, I mean, there's this little tiny human that I get to experience his life in a way that I didn't get to experience my children's lives because when I was doing raising my children, I was working and I was always gone, and I my daughter did a lot of taking care of her sisters, and I was depressed and I was dealing with all kinds of things. But as a grandparent, things just kind of fall away and they just don't matter as much. And happiness matters, and peace matters, and things that you're passionate about matter, and spending time with my husband matters, even though I'm not spending as much time with him right now as I'd like to. I love you, babe, and I'm so thankful that you are supporting what I'm doing, and that you've got my back, and you know that as soon as we've got this thing up and rolling and it's going well, we are going to tour the world together. I promise. Absolutely promise. But I reached out to Christy, and then she finally got back to me, and I was a server at the time, trying to make it in California while my children were and my husband were still here. The girls had, I think two of them had, maybe one or two of them had graduated at this time. I think Emily had graduated, and maybe Abby was the only one still in school. And so I went out to California to try and make some things happen, and it didn't. But I got a call as I was getting off of a bus. I was busing it for almost 45 minutes to an hour. And then I had to walk almost a quarter of a mile, a half a mile, a long damn way for somebody who doesn't like to run or do any of those things to get to work. And then I was trying, Ubering it home. I was sleeping on a couch. Like it was crazy, but it was what I wanted to do because I wanted to live out the dream that I'd been dreaming forever and ever and ever. And I guess God just had different plans, because Christy messaged me and she told me that she would love to speak to me, because I was basically, I told her that maybe people don't all watch documentaries, and maybe that's why they have it wrong. So I'd love to tell it through a scripted series, but I really want to tell the truth of this whole story. I want to tell your story. I want to tell it in its completion. I want to get the background story of how we got here and what happened and what was Dee Dee like, and I wanted to know all of it because that's kind of where I'm at with things. I always want to know everything. Um, Hold on. Hey, Colleen, just let me know when you're ready. I'm live right now, but anytime that you're ready to record, I can always drop off. So, I I got a message back from her, and she told me that I can't officially speak to anybody because I'm still under contract with HBO for Mommy Dead and Dearest, and so I said that's fine. I'll wait. And we began to talk on a regular basis. And then we began to talk on a more regular basis, and it became 2 and 3 times a day. And I really thought that I was building something with someone and building a friendship. I think in this time period, I had talked to Gypsy at this point. I think she had gotten me to at least talk to Gypsy and tell her what I wanted to do, but I don't quite remember when I talked to Gypsy. I'd have to look through my my JPay, and I will do that for the show. But I waited quite a long time. I don't know if it was 3 months or 6 months, but it was several months. And I finally got the call. I By that time I had decided to come back to Kentucky to be with my family, and I would try again, start over again, and see what I could do from Kentucky because I just needed to come home, and things had just not gone well again for me. And I kind of felt like that was going to be my life forever, is that I was never going to get to the point where I actually got to live out the dreams that I wanted to. And I guess I just needed to go through a lot of hell to get to where I am today, because I can't begin to tell you the life I have right now. And yeah, it's still a mess and it's still crazy and it's still hard, but that's okay, because at the end of the day, I'm doing what I want to do. And eventually, maybe my life won't be that hard. And maybe good stress is what I'll have instead of bad stress all the time. And I'm getting to the end of what I have to say here tonight anyway. But I basically had come home and I got the call from her, and I got in the car, and Sarah and I drove forever in my little first little green Kia, the Lima Bean. And we drove down there. I stayed with a dear friend from the Coping Cask, Christine Connery. She opened her house to us. It was wonderful, amazing, and I can never thank her enough for that. But I stayed there for a week with Sarah, and God, I wished I had decided to take a camera. I had a camera. I just didn't take it in with me to anywhere because I was worried that I was going to spook everybody, because they had already done so many things where they had talked and they had been screwed over so many times. The stories weren't accurate. There were things that were missing. And that's not just what Christy had to say, it was what the family had to say on Dee Dee's side, too. They weren't heard and they didn't feel like that the story was told properly, and so many things were left out, and there was so much more that they wanted to say, but Hollywood wasn't listening, because Hollywood had a narrative. That was the narrative they were going with, and it was the narrative that's been told over and over again. Now, I can say that the one time that I feel like we got closer to the truth than any other thing is the one that I did with A&E. And that's because I said I wouldn't participate unless they really heard me. And if they didn't, then I would come out and talk to people about it and let people know that that's not what I said I signed up for, and here's what's actually the things that I was saying, because you can clip things together and create any narrative you really want at any time, folks. There's not a whole lot of truth in things, and sometimes I say there's not a whole lot of truth in true crime, because I think taking a narrative completely defeats the purpose of telling a story. A story should be told in its completion. And so when I went down there to talk to Christy and Rod and the family, that was one of the things that I said. And I think they took that for granted. I think they heard small town producer and thought, we can control you. And that wasn't going to happen with me. It just, they didn't know who they were getting in bed with, I guess, because that's not me, kid. That ain't it. I have to know it all, and I need every piece of information, or I cannot let it go, because I just need to know, why did this happen, and how did this happen, and what led to this, and how did we get here? Because you don't get here without a series of events happening. The event is not the murder or the crime. The fascinating part of it is all the things that lead up to it, right? And Gypsy's story was freaking fascinating. And it's even more fascinating now to me as I look at it again through a second lens, because I'm really looking at the Nick aspect of this that everyone has largely discounted. And I, I have to say that he's a bigger part than I even thought. He's a bigger part than I was going to accept. And I'm thankful to Amanda, who helped me look at things different ways. And I'm thankful for my team for always questioning things and always calling me out on if they thought I was being too harsh on Gypsy or Nick or Dee Dee or Christy. Okay, maybe not Christy. That's a story for a different time that will be in our show. But I waited and I got the call and we went down there and I it was incredible. I got to say, I used to think I didn't understand why people rebuilt New Orleans because it's a bowl and it's going to continue to flood and I didn't understand it. But I'm telling you, the moment I crossed into that area, the New Orleans area, the Bayou area, and all of the surrounding areas that I got to see in my week down there, and the time that I went down there the second time to do the Reels channel thing that I did, which by the way, I contradict myself in that because that was filmed way before I realized that we weren't getting the full truth from the Blanchards, and so my things, and I'll talk about that because I can admit when I'm wrong. I can admit when certain things that I said were incorrect. I'll even admit that my whole thought process on Nick for several years was wrong, and I wish he would talk to me. So if there's someone out there that still talks to him and would let him know that I really would like to understand him and explain his side of the story, and not the side of the story that I'm going to edit and cut apart and do all that, but his real truthful story, please let him know to please contact me. I have written him again through the new JPay system, whatever the heck it is. It's some weird thing. But let him know that I would really actually like to hear some things because I think he got a raw deal. Do I think he should be out in society? No. I think but I also don't think he should be locked away in a prison, and I don't think he should be thrown into an insane asylum. I think that he should be in some sort of different place that we don't have in our current justice system and that we should have for people like him, because I don't think that he is diabolically evil. I just believe that he's extremely susceptible to manipulation, and he will do anything for a person that he thinks he loves, including murder. And I do think he would do it again if so the circumstances all came together. And there's a lot of things that go into why Nick is dangerous in a way. Is he the serial killer next door? No, I don't think so. I used to think that he would have gone on a killing spree with Gypsy, and I think he probably might have. I mean, with the two of them, it was diabolical. So, and he was being highly manipulated. Okay, you won't be on camera, I promise. Hold on, guys. I got a nurse, and I don't want her to be. I don't want her to be subjected to this. We'll be back after these brief messages. No, just kidding. Give me another flagell too.
Yeah.
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 Okay. My battery is running low. Oh well. Okay. Let's do this. Beep. And find the battery and plug you in. You naughty little thing that is angry at me. Okay.
You've
Yes.
got a dental due at midnight. They said you haven't been taking
I'm
it
not taking the
anymore.
Benful anymore, so you don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah, it just makes everything taste horrible, and it's not really doing anything anymore. So
If you need anything,
I will. All right, guys. Let's see if I can make this work now. There. Yes. There. Okay. So sorry for the momentary pause. But yeah. So where was I? Nick. I think that he got bad counsel. I think that Nick wasn't impressed upon him how serious the situation was, and I there's a lot behind why I think that Nick did the things that he did. And I didn't quite understand them until I took a second look at what was going on. And I'd really like to talk to him and know if my theories are correct. Because if they are, then I really understand him in a different way. And it doesn't mean that I think that he I don't know. Maybe he could come out into society if he had the right support system, but he doesn't have the right support system, and that's another problem. There's so many problems in our systems in our world that I have been brought to my doorstep lately, and so I've changed a lot of my opinions, and after talking with the family, and we came back and we started writing things, and all these different things happened, and when we started getting the information that we got that didn't align with the stories we were being told, I became the enemy. And apparently, I found out that I wasn't the first one. So it's something that has happened quite often in this case. And again, that's something I would like to get into in our series and not here, because this is the story of the GWN and not Gypsy Rose frickin' Blanchard. Even though I know that she'll always be part of what we do, because I mean, we've become the leading experts on the case. Nobody knows all the things we know. I don't even know that Gypsy knows all the things that we know, to be honest with you. And let me make this very clear right now. Gypsy is who Gypsy is because of who Dee Dee was. But Dee Dee is who Dee Dee is because of who Emma was. And Emma is who Emma is because of who her mother was. This is a generational traumatic situation, but it in no way absolves her from the things that she did. And mark my words, that little girl ain't innocent at all. Okay? Was it abuse what happened to her? Yeah, I can say that. But abuse happens to lots of kids, and they don't go on to convince people to murder their mothers, no matter how bad their mothers are. And it's not about her murdering her horrible mother, because yes, I do believe that Dee Dee was a terrible, terrible person. She was a sociopath. What's more, no, I don't even think she's a sociopath. Based on what I've been learning in my final coursework as I finish up my forensic psychology degree this year, I really truly believe she was something else. She was a psychopath. She didn't have feelings and emotions for people. She saw people as people that she could use to get what she wanted. And that's what she's always thought. She's always been that way. Every story I've ever heard about Dee Dee, from her family to her friends to her neighbors, it's all been about Dee Dee wanting to do whatever the hell it was that Dee Dee wanted to do. What in the world is going on? Is someone talking to me somewhere? Because I'm having a hard time figuring this out. All right, well, I don't know. If you guys are talking to me somewhere, I'm not seeing it, so you'll just have to wait. I'll respond later. But anyway, I Gypsy, there's no doubt that what happened to Gypsy was abuse. But is it the abuse that you've been led to believe? No. And did she learn from one of the best con artists and sociopaths, psychopaths that I've ever seen? Yeah. And do I think it was a coincidence that they landed in Springfield? Uh-uh, I don't. But that's all different stories, and I will get into those later. But I wanted to make it very clear that that is my stance on Gypsy, and it my anger or my frustration or my passion about the fact that I think that Gypsy belongs where she belongs, and she belongs in prison for a long time, largely is based on the manipulation and the planning and the sheer diabolical ideas and things and ways that she has presented herself before the murder, during the murder, and certainly after the murder of Dee Dee Blanchard. And whether you believe that Dee Dee deserved it or not, You cannot absolve Gypsy just because she was abused. We don't absolve people who were molested when they become pedophiles themselves. We don't absolve serial killers when they go out and kill lots and lots of people because they were usually abused. Most serial killers, now there's some that haven't been, but a lot of serial killers had traumatic lives. That's what caused them to become serial killers. We talk about it all the time, and Jeff is talking about a lot of that on serial killers around the world, which is a Good Wives a Network original. Pretty excited about it. Um, the content we're going to bring to the GWN guys is just content that I am so impressed with, and we've already got a bunch of it on the platform. And I'd just like you to know, if you go to the platform, you can find us right now on the Good Wives Network. It's called that. That's the name of it. And you can search for it on Roku, Android, and Amazon. Now Android might be the only one. We're having some technical difficulties with Android, so if you've got an Android, please message either the page or the team or me personally. I don't care if you're having trouble with Android. Please let me know because I'm trying to get the developers to work on this. And that's why we're only in soft launch. So, what you see there right now is just a sampling of what is going to be on the GWN. It is not by any means completely finished, it is a sneak peek. It is to begin to start to let you guys see what we're creating here because what I think we're creating is pretty epic. And we will have our launch party, I believe, in June. That's when I think we're going to have it now. We were saying April, but with the launch of our nonprofit and wanting to make this as successful as possible because it's not just me anymore. I am, and it's not just my team anymore. We are working with some of the most incredible content creators I've ever seen in my life. And they bring it every fucking day. And they are passionate and they are amazing. And together, I want this network to be so, so much more. And so, we came up from Gypsy, but what we are doing today is so vastly, vastly different than where Tori and I started together 7 years ago. 8 years ago, 9 years ago. I don't know now. However long ago I started with Tori and added in Christina and Colleen and Brandy and Amanda and even Stella, Missy and Morgan and Jeff now and Kim and Martha and Wyatt. I feel like I'm on Romper Room. I see this person and this person and this person and Cecil and Jill and her family, Amy and like there's so many people, and I'm not gonna sit here and name every single one of you guys. You're gonna have to come to the freaking. You're gonna have to come to the premiere, and you're gonna have to come to the channel, and you're gonna have to watch these people because they are nothing short of incredible. And I'm in awe every day of every single one of them because I came out and I asked for things, and the things that they have delivered are more than I could have ever, ever asked for. But I think it's because we put in the work. I think it's because we never stopped, no matter all the things. And we're going to talk about all the things. I mean, all the things. I really feel like all those things, everything in my life, all the struggles, all the hardships, all the things that I thought were leading me away from my dreams and my hopes and my wants and my needs, were all leading me here. And now I have three amazing guardian angels that's what I'm thinking I have is my mother and my grandmother and Christina leading the way for me and Colleen and Tori and Brandy and Amanda and all the other content creators that I work with on a daily basis. I have to believe that's the why Christina was called home because I can't reconcile it any other way. Because she's got a son that loved and adored her and needs her. And she has a brother who's broken and hurting and trying to keep it all together. And I know, James, I can see it. I can see how hard it is for you under the surface. And I miss my friend a lot. God damn it, I was trying not to cry. But I have to know, okay, so in November of last year, I decided that I was tired of being tired. And I was tired of working my butt off for nothing. And I was tired of having a really expensive hobby that I argued with my husband about how much more money you're going to spend on this shit. And I was tired of watching my friends not win and my other friends in other realms be told that their content wasn't good enough for who? Do you even know what people watch? I don't think you do. And at the forefront of this, Christina was our heart. Christina was our heart. And she always brought people together. And she always said that I gave too many people too many chances. But Christina always saw the good in people that maybe I couldn't see. Because I might give people a lot of chances, but I'm hard. I'm not easy. And I'm hard on people. And I expect more from them than sometimes I think that they know they can give. And sometimes I expect more than them than they can actually give. And I've had to learn that. And I think that I had to learn it through hard times and losing people that have now come back around and that I'm honored to be working with. And I think we're going to do amazing, beautiful things together. And I really do believe that she is guiding this path because it's not just a path of true crime and it's not just a path of making content and it's not any of those things, it's all those things and so much more. We were made for more. Our channel is about being made for more. Our channel, the Good Wives Network, is about real women doing real things with a couple of men thrown in because the men help make the world go round too. And hell, they're kind of funny. So, and they're dedicated. And that's what I ask of my content creators. I ask them to put their lives out there and to share who they are. And every single show is really about being vulnerable and showing what their life is and who they are. And through that, I think we might be able to find common grounds that we didn't know we had. Because you know what? We used to say on The Good Wives that at the end of the day, we could fight it all out and talk about all kinds of different things. But in the end, we left as friends. And so that's where I feel like we are today. Is we can talk about all kinds of different things and we can talk about politics and we can talk about true crime and we can talk about our lives and we can talk about all kinds of different things, mental health and the justice system and whatever the hell you want to talk about. And we can find common ground if we look for it. We have to be willing to look for it in a new lens because what's happening right now in all the world, it's not good, guys. It's not good. And it's up to us to make the difference. We cannot rely on governments to take care of us. And I don't remember who said it. My husband tells me this all the time, and I'm sorry I don't give credit to whoever it is. But the worst words ever uttered in the entire world were, "Hi, I'm from the government and I'm here to help." Because they're not. They're here to help themselves. That's why they all profit. That's why these things happen. And I think we can all agree what we have right now is not working. And what we have and the answers that were being given by any side, I don't care what side you're on, is wrong. So I want to have these conversations and I want to have open and honest conversations. And our channel is going to be about those things. And you may not always agree with us, but I hope that at the end of the day, I give you something to think about. That the people that are on there give you something to think about because they're real and they're amazing and they're wanting to do incredible, beautiful things. So I'm going to wrap this up and we'll go from getting to the point of last year where I actually made a call out to God and manifested, because I believe in manifestation and that everything happens for a reason, and what you put out into the universe is what you get back. And for a long time I was putting out some really goddamn really horrible, awful, negative shit. And I know I'm not supposed to say that word, but sometimes I just think that that's the word I need, because it was damning. It was horrible. I was negative as fuck. And having my grandson and having all the COVID related problems that I have, and watching my friends go through these horrible things, and my whole life being swiped out from underneath me at no fault of my own, just because I didn't have fail safes put in place. And I want you to know you should have fail safes put in place, because the world doesn't give a flying fadoodle if it's falling apart. It still wants its piece from you. And so I want to leave you with the thoughts of the good things that we're doing, because this channel is incredible. We have Kim Ward and Martha Brown doing Family Coaster, and they are sharing about their lives as mompreneurs. We've got a crap ton of people in true crime that I respect and adore and care about immensely. Um, we've got Wyatt and Cecil, who bring comedy to our our channel. Um, we've got Jill and her family as real estate agents that are building a life, leaving a legacy, and talking about how to leave a legacy in this world. Um, I've got Aaron Birch, who is one of the most greatest motivational speakers that I believe that is coming to the channel with becoming you. We have spiritual leading of two beautiful women who lead through sound, music, and different things, and help you on a spiritual journey. I've got Sage that is coming to the channel with her love of cooking and her love of the earth, and being a woman who feels that is connected to the earth and cooks with that kind of passion. And if you want to call it magic, call it magic. If you want to call it witchcraft, that's fine too. I don't really care. But she's honest and she's lovely and she's amazing. We've got Dara, who's bringing you, amazing recipes, and uh, uh, Dione is from New Zealand. She's this cute little lady who sings and makes family food on family friendly food on a budget. And we've got these two sisters that talk true crime. I mean, guys, the content that I have found and brought to this channel is nothing short of absolutely 100% incredible. And it's not me. It's not me. I'm just the person, the vessel, and I'm just the person that's giving these people a platform, because this is something more. And I just keep saying that this is something more, but it really is something more. And so Amanda and I and Tori and Colleen have always wanted to make a difference. And we call it true crime, but really what it is a difference in our legal system, our justice system, our criminal prosecution system, the way our prisons are, the way that the whole thing is set up. Because right now, the whole thing is set up for people to be punished and not win and not be rehabilitated. And that's never, ever what it should be about. But we have a lot of platforms, and I want to go forward with some of the things that Christina brought forward. And I'm working with her son and her brother to make sure that her voice is still heard. And so, for the first time yesterday, I went to some of the things that we've recorded that we've never released. And we're going to release a documentary that I'm putting together on Bundy, and it's going to be a different documentary. It's all interviews that we've done with different people, with Kathy Kleiner Rubin, who we interviewed, which is one of the only surviving victims, with a couple of different authors that have written books about them. Obviously, Colleen and I will weigh in with our thoughts and feelings about this. And there's a lot we have to talk about that I don't think people have talked about in this case before. Um, so we're putting this together. And so I went back to get the interviews and I went to hear them for the first time in a very long time, especially the first time since Christina passed away. And the platform that we use is called riverside.fm. And I think it's a wonderful platform. I love it very much. I've got a lot of things we can do with it. And it's only getting better every single day. Sorry, my butt's going to sleep. But, um, but there's a way in here, and this is one of the reasons we picked this was because it downloads directly to your local drive and then it uploads it so that it's better for quality um, when recording because I live in the middle of nowhere and we were having lots of problems. And so and Brandy was experiencing those problems at one point in time too, and it kind of caused a lot of problems in the way we thought about things, and it was misunderstandings, total misunderstandings. And so um, started using Riverside, and Riverside has the option that it records each of us individually, our audio and our video individually. And I always download all of them because I give it to my editor. You know that I've hired a couple editors, but we now have this amazing editor Raymond, and he has been who is largely responsible for all of the new openers that you're seeing. I mean, I created some of them. I got to take some credit, but he's doing an amazing job, and I can't wait to see what he does with all of the stuff that we're going to be bringing him. And he is very driven, and I'm incredibly honored to have him on our team. I have an amazing VA, Gwen, who just does incredible graphics. And no, you can't have her. She is mine. She ain't from lending, and neither is Raymond, and neither is Brittany effing Meeks if she comes on with us. So, but I clicked on the one that was supposed to be Christina's voice because I just wanted to hear her voice. And the very first thing it starts off with is it says, "Hey, can you hear me?" And then, guys, it goes silent. There is nothing on that recording. And I went through the entire recording to see if maybe it was just something, a glitch in the beginning, or we didn't catch her at some time, or her mic cut out and she came back in, or she had been muted. It was none of those things. There is nothing else on that. But hey, can you hear me? In her lovely, wonderful Brooklyn accent. And let me tell you, they all talk like that. And it is incredibly awesome when you sit in the room with them and listen to them talk. And I just love it. It's so interesting. It's such a great accent. And I thought I'd never hear it again. But then when I went to the full production that combines all of our pieces together, she was there. She was there through the whole thing. So I only have to believe that what I heard was, hey, can you hear me? Because she's guiding all of us, her son, her brother, her friends. And if you knew Christina, you just knew that that's what she did. She was the one who could calm me down when I was angry, and she was the voice of reason many times. And she was a confidant and a friend. And I'm sad that I won't ever get to hug her in person, but I have to believe I will see her again, and I can feel her here with me every single day. And I'm going to end it there. Come check us out. Look up the Good Wives Network. We're on Roku, Amazon, and Android. And what we're doing is nothing short of a miracle, guys. And I'd like you all to be a part of it. I'd like you to come on this journey as we talk about things that maybe other people aren't talking about, and we do things just a little differently than everyone else. And we aren't the stuffy Hollywood types, and we aren't the elitist that think we somehow don't have rules and laws apply to us. We're just regular people trying to make sense of this world that we live in and somehow connect on a higher level with people in our world. Thank you. I'm Fancy Maselli of the GWN. We're going to change things around here. Have a good night, guys.